I stared at the perfectly grilled salmon on my plate, watching the steam rise in the warm glow of the restaurant's Edison bulbs. My girlfriend, Maya, sat across from me, her dark eyes catching the candlelight as she smiled. It was our 3-year anniversary, and I'd saved for 2 months to afford this place in downtown Seattle. "This is perfect, Logan," she said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. I was about to respond when my phone lit up. "Dad." I almost declined, but something made me answer. "Logan, sorry to interrupt your dinner." His voice was tight, strained, "but I need to ask you something." "Yeah, what's up?" There was a long pause. The background noise told me he was at Uncle Mark's 4th of July barbecue, the one I'd skipped to celebrate with Maya instead. "How's the Portland apartment working out? Your Uncle Mark just asked me about it." I felt Maya's hand tighten around mine. "What Portland apartment?" Another pause, longer this time. I could hear the distant sound of fireworks, children laughing, the mumble of family conversations I wasn't part of. "The one Uncle Mark bought you. When you moved there for that software job 3 years ago." My throat went dry. "Dad, I'm a network admin in Seattle. I've been in the same studio apartment in Fremont for 4 years. I never moved to Portland." The line went silent. I heard him say something away from the phone, his voice muffled. Then Uncle Mark's voice, confused and getting louder. "Logan." Dad's voice came back, different now, harder. "We'll talk about this later." He hung up. Maya was watching me, concern creasing her forehead. What was that about? I have no idea, but that wasn't entirely true. Because in that moment, sitting in that expensive restaurant with salmon getting cold on my plate, a memory surfaced. My 23rd birthday. Dad had seemed disappointed by something. Mom had changed the subject quickly when I mentioned looking for apartments in Seattle. And later that night, I'd heard them arguing in the kitchen, their voices dropping to whispers when I walked in. I picked up my phone and called Uncle Mark directly. He answered on the second ring. "Logan, your dad just told me the strangest thing." "Uncle Mark, I need you to tell me exactly what you're talking about." "What apartment in Portland?" He sounded genuinely confused. "The one I bought you." "Well, not bought exactly. I gave your parents $75,000 3 years ago for your down payment when you got that job at Intel. Your dad said you didn't want to tell anyone because you wanted to seem independent, make it on your own, that kind of thing. I respected that, but I figured after 3 years, I could at least ask how it's going." $75,000. I sat there, the restaurant noise fading to a dull roar in my ears. Maya was saying something, but I couldn't hear her. I was doing math in my head. 3 years ago, when I'd been desperate to move out of my parents' house in Tacoma, sleeping on their couch after college while working help desk for $35,000 a year, when I'd been saving every penny for a deposit on a studio, any studio, just to have my own space. "Uncle Mark." My voice sounded strange, distant. "I never got a job in Portland. I never got any money for an apartment. I've been renting a studio in Seattle for 4 years at $1,400 a month." The silence on his end was different from Dad's. This was the silence of someone's world reorganizing itself. "That can't be right," he said finally. "I sent the check to your father. He said you'd signed the lease already, that you needed it for closing costs and furniture." "Logan, I sent that money 3 years ago." I thanked him and hung up. My hands were shaking. "Logan, what's happening?" Maya's voice finally broke through. I told her. All of it. The call, the apartment I didn't have, the $75,000 I'd never seen. She listened, her expression shifting from confusion to something harder, angrier. "You need to call your parents right now." I didn't. Instead, I sat there for another 10 minutes, staring at my phone, watching it light up with calls from Dad. Each one I let go to voicemail. I needed time to think, to remember. My younger brother Ryan, he'd moved to Portland 3 years ago, got a job at Intel doing quality assurance, something I'd helped him prep for. Practiced interview questions with him for weeks. He'd been so excited when he got it, and he'd moved into a nice place, a 1-bedroom in the Pearl District. I remembered visiting him once, being surprised at how nice it was for a first apartment. "I got lucky," he'd said when I asked about it. "Mom and Dad helped me out with the deposit." I'd felt a flash of something then. Not quite jealousy, but close. I'd never gotten help with a deposit. I'd been on my own since graduation, working my way up from help desk to network admin, moving into progressively less terrible apartments as my salary slowly increased. but I'd pushed the feeling down. Ryan was younger. He needed more help. That's what I told myself. Now, sitting in this restaurant with Maya, watching me with worried eyes, I felt that feeling again. Except it wasn't just a flash anymore. It was a wildfire. I need to see my parents. We left the salmon untouched, paid the bill, and drove to Tacoma in silence. Maya held my hand the entire way, not saying anything, just being there. It was one of the many reasons I loved her. My childhood home looked the same as always. The garden Mom obsessed over, perfectly maintained. Dad's truck in the driveway. The new one he'd bought last year. The porch light on, warm and welcoming. I felt sick. Mom answered the door. Her smile faltered when she saw my face. "Logan, honey, what are you doing here?" "I thought you had anniversary dinner with Maya. We need to talk." Dad appeared behind her. His expression was different from hers. He knew why I was here. We sat in the living room, the same room where I'd opened Christmas presents as a kid, where we'd watched Sunday football, where I'd told them I'd gotten my first job after college. Maya sat next to me, her hand in mine. My parents sat across from us on the couch they'd bought 2 years ago, a nice leather one that I remembered thinking looked expensive. "Uncle Mark gave you $75,000 for me," I said. No preamble, no small talk. 3 years ago, for an apartment in Portland, an apartment I never got because I never moved to Portland. So where's the money? Mom's face went pale. Dad's jaw tightened. "Logan, it's not that simple," Dad started. "Yes or no? Did Uncle Mark give you $75,000 meant for me?" A pause. Then, quietly, "Yes." The confirmation somehow made it worse. Part of me had hoped there was a misunderstanding, some explanation that would make sense. But no, it was real. "Where is it?" Mom spoke up, her voice defensive. "Ryan needed it more than you did. You were doing fine on your own, you had a job, you were managing. But Ryan, he had this opportunity, and he needed help getting started." I laughed. It came out harsh, bitter. "I was sleeping on your couch. I was making $35,000 a year. I was eating ramen for dinner most nights because I was trying to save for a deposit. But I was managing?" "You never asked for help," Dad said. "Because you never offered. And apparently, when someone did try to help me, you stole it." "We didn't steal it." Mom's voice rose. "We used it where it was needed most. That's what family does. We help each other. By lying to me? By taking money meant for me and giving it to Ryan without telling me." "Ryan is your brother," Dad said. "We thought you'd understand." I stood up. I couldn't sit anymore. The room felt too small, too hot. "Does Ryan know?" Silence. "Does Ryan know that the money you gave him for his apartment was supposed to be mine?" "We told him it was from us," Mom said quietly. "We didn't want to make him feel bad." Of course they did. Protect Ryan from feeling bad. That was always the priority. I looked at them, really looked at them, and saw strangers. People I thought I knew. People who'd raised me, taught me right from wrong, told me to always be honest, to work hard, to earn what I got. And they'd stolen from me. Lied to me. For 3 years. "I want the money back." Dad shook his head. "Logan, we can't just give you $75,000. We don't have it anymore. Then you'll have to figure out how to get it. Because that money was mine. We're your parents," Mom said, and there were tears in her eyes now. "You can't just demand money from us like we're strangers. This is family. Family doesn't steal from each other." We didn't steal. We made a decision about how to best use resources to help our children. Both of you. You were fine without it. I felt Maya's hand on my back, steadying me. I was fine? I worked 2 jobs for 6 months to save enough for first and last month's rent on a studio apartment that had mold in the bathroom. I skipped meals. I drove a car that broke down twice a month. I was drowning in student loans while watching Ryan post pictures of his nice apartment, his new furniture, his trips to the coast. And the whole time, I thought he was just better at managing money than me. I thought I was doing something wrong. The words were pouring out now. 3 years of comparison, of wondering why my younger brother seemed to have it so much easier, why I struggled while he thrived. But it wasn't that he was better. It was that you gave him everything that was supposed to be mine. "That's not fair," Dad said. "We've helped you too. We let you live here after college, rent-free. I was here for 4 months. On your couch, while Ryan got $75,000 for an apartment. He's younger," Mom said. He needed more support. He's 2 years younger than me. He's not a child, he's 28 years old. And you know what? If you told me Uncle Mark wanted to help and you thought Ryan needed it more, maybe I would have understood. Maybe I would have agreed. But you didn't ask. You just took it and lied to me about it. For 3 years. I was at the door now, Maya beside me. I'm going to talk to Ryan, I said. And then I'm going to talk to a lawyer, because this isn't about family anymore. This is theft. Logan, please. Mom was crying openly now. Don't do this. Don't tear this family apart over money. I turned back to look at her. You already did that. You just didn't tell me about it. We left. In the car, I couldn't speak. Maya drove, navigating us back to Seattle in silence. When we got to my apartment, she held me while I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at nothing. What are you going to do? She asked finally. I don't know, but I did know. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I just needed to admit it to myself first. I called Ryan the next morning. He sounded cheerful, probably nursing a hangover from the 4th of July barbecue. Hey man, heard you had to bail on the party. Anniversary dinner go well? We need to talk. Can I come over? Something in my voice must have warned him. Sure. Yeah. Is everything okay? Not really. I drove to Portland. It took 3 hours. 3 hours to think about what I was going to say, how I was going to say it. 3 hours to remember every time I'd felt less than. Every time I'd wondered why Ryan seemed to have it easier. Every time I'd blamed myself for not being better with money. His apartment was nice. Really nice. Hardwood floors, updated kitchen, a view of the city. The kind of place I'd dreamed about having someday. He opened the door with a smile that faded when he saw my face. What happened? Uncle Mark gave Mom and Dad $75,000 3 years ago. For me, for an apartment when I supposedly moved to Portland for a job at Intel. Except I never moved to Portland. I never got a job at Intel. That's your job. Your apartment. I watched understanding dawn on his face. Then horror. Logan, I didn't know. They told me it was their money, that they'd been saving for me. I believe you. And I did. Ryan was a lot of things, but he wasn't a liar. Not like this. They gave you my money, $75,000, and they've been lying to both of us about it for 3 years. He sank onto his couch, his face pale. Oh my God. We sat there, both of us, trying to process it. Finally, he spoke. What do you want me to do? It was a good question. What did I want him to do? Give me the apartment? Pay me back? The money was spent. The down payment made. He couldn't just undo 3 years. I want you to know the truth. And I want you to testify if this goes to court. Court? He looked up sharply. You're suing them? They stole from me, Ryan. $75,000. That's not a mistake. That's not a family decision. That's theft. They're our parents. They're thieves. He didn't argue. What could he say? I hired a lawyer the following week. James Chen, a guy Maya's sister had used for a contract dispute. He listened to my story, took notes, and then leaned back in his chair. This is going to get ugly, he said. Family cases always do. Are you sure you want to go through with this? I thought about the 3 years I'd spent thinking I was failing, thinking I wasn't good enough, wasn't smart enough with money. I thought about watching Ryan succeed while I struggled and never knowing why. I thought about my parents sitting across from me, defending their decision, calling it family. I'm sure. We filed a civil suit for theft, fraud, and breach of fiduciary duty. Uncle Mark agreed to testify, and his bank records showed the check made out to my father with Logan's apartment down payment in the memo line. We had emails where Dad thanked him for helping Logan get started in Portland. We had everything we needed. My phone started ringing the day after they were served. Mom, Dad, my aunt, my grandmother, people I hadn't heard from in years suddenly very concerned about family unity. I didn't answer. The only call I took was from Ryan. I talked to them, he said. They're saying you're being ungrateful. That they did what was best for the family. What do you think? A long pause. I think they stole from you, and I think they lied to me about it. I've been sitting in this apartment for 3 years thinking I earned this, thinking I was doing well on my own, but I didn't. I had $75,000 I didn't know about, didn't earn. They took that from you and they took the truth from me. So, you'll testify? I'll testify. The case took 8 months. 8 months of depositions, of lawyers, of Uncle Mark explaining over and over that the money was meant for me, of Ryan's testimony about what our parents had told him, of my parents' lawyer arguing that it was a family decision, that parents have the right to allocate resources as they see fit. But the check had my name in the memo. The emails specified me, and they'd lied not just to me, but to Uncle Mark, claiming I'd received the money and was doing well in Portland. We won. The judgment was for $75,000 in principal, plus interest for 3 years at the statutory rate. Another $12,000, and attorney's fees, which added another $15,000. Total, $102,000. My parents were ordered to pay it in full within 90 days, or through a payment plan of $3,000 per month for 36 months. They couldn't pay it in full. I knew they couldn't. It would have required selling their house or taking out a massive loan. So they're paying monthly, $3,000. Every month, for 3 years. The same 3 years they lied to me. I don't talk to them anymore. Mom calls sometimes, leaves voicemails asking when I'm going to forgive them, when I'm going to remember that family is more important than money. Dad sends emails, short ones, saying they did what they thought was right. I don't respond. Ryan and I still talk. It's different now. There's a distance there that wasn't before. Not because I blame him, but because every conversation carries the weight of what happened. He offered to pay me back once, said he'd sell the apartment and split the equity. I told him no. It wasn't his debt. It was theirs. Uncle Mark and I have dinner once a month now. He apologized so many times I finally had to tell him to stop. He was trying to help. He trusted his brother. Neither of those things were crimes. Maya and I got married last year. Small ceremony, just friends and her family. No one from my side. Mom sent a card. I didn't open it. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. If I wish I'd just let it go, kept the peace, maintained the relationship. They tell me family is important, that money isn't worth losing your parents over. But here's the thing they don't understand. I didn't lose my parents over money. I lost them when they stole from me and lied about it for 3 years. When they chose my brother over me so completely that they couldn't even tell me the truth. When they looked me in the eye and defended their decision like I was unreasonable for being angry. The money was just proof, documentation, evidence of what they really thought of me. I make $90,000 a year now. I got promoted twice since the lawsuit started. Maya and I bought a condo in Capitol Hill, a real nice one with 2 bedrooms and a view of the Space Needle. We saved for it together, every penny, no help from anyone. When we signed the closing papers, I thought about that apartment in Portland, the one I was supposed to have, the one that would have changed everything for me 3 years ago. And I realized something. I'm glad I didn't get it. Not because I don't deserve it, but because I earned what I have now. Actually earned it. I know exactly where every dollar came from. There's no lie at the foundation of my life. Last month, I got a check in the mail, $3,000. The monthly payment, I don't even look at them anymore. They go straight to savings. Maya and I are planning to use them for the down payment on a house someday. A real house. One that's ours. Sometimes I wonder if Ryan still lives in that apartment. If he thinks about the money when he walks through his front door. If he feels guilty, I hope he doesn't. It wasn't his fault, but it wasn't mine either. I sleep well at night. Better than I did when I didn't know the truth. Better than I did when I thought family meant something different than what it actually meant in my case. I don't miss the people who stole from me. I don't miss the lies. I don't miss wondering why I wasn't good enough. What I had to sue my own parents to get, but I got it. The truth. My money. My self-respect. And I'd do it again.